wishes. Of course. Yes? Gotta cool off. Spring is sprung. Let's go. Beautiful. Sweet dreams. Best wishes. All right. Very well. Time for a swim? Yes. Yes. Best wishes. Spring is sprung. You've been naughty. Gotta cool off. Let's go. Yes. Well. All right. Beautiful. Let's celebrate. Very well. Of course. Best wishes. Spring is sprung. Let's go. All right. Gotta cool off. Yes. Beautiful. Time for a swim? Yes. off. All right. Well, best wishes. Of course. Very well. Spring is sprung. Let's go. Beautiful. Gotta cool off. Yes. All right. Spring is sprung. Best wishes. Time for a swim? Yes.
Hey everyone, GuardianE here with another Camilla Emblem clear video for Fire Emblem Heroes, and today we'll be taking on Mila, Goddess of Love, in her very own Mythic Hero Battle on Abyssal difficulty. So this map was a nightmare, and while formidably tanky, the real threat here is not Mila. Just as her kit would suggest, Mila is the support for her army, and she needs a powerful army to make any waves on the battlefield. It just so happens she brought one hell of an army to this battle. It is this seemingly endless, oppressive wave after wave of powerful reinforcements with cruel sets of debuffs in this claustrophobic map. No triggers for the reinforcements, mind you. They just come in turn after turn from all sides of the map, behind you, in the middle of you, and you have nowhere to hide. We'll of course go over the waves in more detail. So first, let's talk about the map generally. You have these two water areas that obviously any non-flying units would not be able to traverse. And then your starting position is deceptively small. You're clustered into a square formation, and you already have 4 slots next to you already compromised that you can't utilize for repositioning, for evasion, for baiting, and things like that. And then you have 2 walls right here that are also unbreakable that also block your pathing. So it's pretty difficult because it essentially funnels you down the path of the center, more or less. There are plenty of flying enemies that appear, so you have to bear that in mind. You can use a little bit of the water to your advantage for the land units, but the other units, they have free reign, just like flyers would, and so you have to be aware of that. And obviously the path of least resistance would be, again, down the middle. And there are going to be a series of ploys and other rather nasty debuffs that are coming down the center aisle, and you just need to be wary of that. So let's take a look at Mila herself. So obviously Mila comes with her Nurturing Breath, has adaptive damage, which is no surprise, but a more key aspect to it is that it gives +2 to all stats for all allies, basically within 3 columns and 3 rows of her position. So it's an in-combat buff, and +2 doesn't seem like a whole heck of a lot. I can say that consistently, it felt like this map was trolling me, because I would commonly be 1 or 2 damage off of a successful strategy. And this didn't happen once or twice. It was probably closer to like 10 times, where if I just had 1 more eke of damage and, rearranging my kits and everything else, I basically maximized the damage for that initiation, and I still was like 1 or 2 damage off. So I gotta say, I kind of felt a little personally attacked by intelligence systems for saying that Mila's buff really wasn't that impressive, and then proceeding to get gated at every opportunity by 1 or 2 stat points. So this is deceptive. I mean, this thing, especially because there are so many enemy forces, they're all getting that buff. This is kind of where she shines, right? Of course, she has Rally Defense Res Plus. Luckily, it's not a self-rally, it is just a rally on somebody else. But you can already see her defensive stats are pretty darn impressive. 55 defense, 49 resistance, nothing to scoff at whatsoever. Has Aegis for her special, just to drive home her ability to tank damage, especially from ranged units. She doesn't have distant counter built in, so you can pepper her from range. However, the fact that she has Aegis and the fact that she has Distant Defense 3 on her seal means, plus her just impressive stats in general defensively, means that dings are going to be plentiful. Unless you have Dragon Effectiveness, or Colorless Advantage, or Infantry Advantage, things like that. Naturally, offensive specials are also going to be your friend here, but she also has Bracing Stance Plus, so Bracing Stance, also, similar to Distant Defense, if a foe initiates combat against her, she gets a +6 to both of her defensive stats, and a special cooldown charge -1, so she has that built-in guard. Really powerful stuff. Sabotage Attack 3 is actually pretty strong here, because again, it just adds to her tankiness, and also makes sure units much less affected. It restricts their positioning, because it's a map-wide debuff that essentially means that if your units are positioned next to each other at the start of a turn, which is very common, especially when you have a claustrophobic map like this, as long as they have, as long as she has more res than them, they get -7 attack, and that's a significant debuff. And as you can see, she has 49 defense, which is definitely nothing to scoff at. Mila's Turn Wheel. The second part of Mila's Turn Wheel obviously doesn't apply here, it's Ether 8 exclusive, but the isolation effect can be very annoying. It completely neutralizes your unit's abilities to use assists, including dances and refreshes in general, including healing and restore plus and reposition and positioning assists, anything like that. This will basically nullify that, as long as she gets this ploy off, which has a defense check. And of course, as I noted, her defense is 55. So, as we said, that's basically a ploy down the center aisle, unless you can bait her or position her in different ways. And that can be very restrictive, especially for teams that rely on dancers. Not to say that you can't get around this and manipulate around this, certainly. There's absolutely ways to strategically manipulate around it. At the same time, it can be pretty crippling to teams that I think revolve around dancers and rely on repositioning assists. Now, speaking of ploys, there's this cleric right next to her that has both speed ploy and attack ploy alongside 49 resistance. So she's going to be, not to say that you can't have units above 49 resistance, but it's a pretty tough threshold to meet, so you're probably going to get some ployed units. Both speed and attack are pretty important if you want to deal some damage, so getting hit with both of those is pretty dramatic. One nice thing about this cleric is that she only has Absorb Plus. They could have been a lot nastier about this. Instead, they just gave her Absorb Plus, which really isn't that bad at all. And of course, she doesn't have Wrathful, which means that she's not going to be doing a ton of damage. She does have this Live to Serve, so Live to Serve is interesting because it does allow her to heal, as long as she's healing her allies, which is going to be pretty often. Have this Bow Flyer over here with Fire Sweep Bow Plus, and then Astra has Life and Death 3, Mystic Boost 3 as well, and then Close Guard and Distant Guard, so providing defensive buffs to her allies. Mystic Boost 3, I feel like they added this, and a couple of units actually have Mystic Boost 3 on this map. I feel like they added this specifically to counter healers, offensive healers like Brave Camilla. In general, not just because that helps the Bow Flyers sustain, but it also neutralizes the Wrathful Staff effect. So that can be kind of debilitating for any offensive healers that you have. This Lance Fighter is pretty straightforward. Brave Lance, plus Attack, Defense, Push, and Death Blow. All of those together, plus the Luna, means that he's going to be dealing a lot of damage if he initiates on you. Also has Defense Res Link, as well as Distant Guard 3. Next we have this Red Fafnir, who has Light Breath Plus, as well as Soul, Iote Shield, Renewal, Guidance, and Swift Sparrow 2. So she actually has pretty decent speed and attack, so if she initiates on you, she's going to deal some decent damage. You got to be wary of the Guidance. The Guidance is really the big threat here, because that can lead to a lot of movement-based shenanigans, and those shenanigans can be difficult to deal with the limited space that you have available to move around. The Green Mage over here has Gronowl Plus, as well as Attack Speed Form 3 and Lull Speed Res 3, and Breath of Life. So this Green Mage is deceptively annoying. He's kind of a problem, and the reason for that is Gronowl and Attack Speed Form 3 obviously work in tandem with each other. They synergize. And because there are so many reinforcements on this map, it is incredibly easy for him to maximize both the Gronowl and the Attack Speed Form, which is considerable boosts to all of his stats. And then furthermore, Lull Speed Res means that if you rely on activated buffs, like the blue numbers on your stat line, this nullifies those as far as speed and res are concerned. He has considerable speed already, so he's going to be doubling pretty often, and unless you have, in-combat buffs to speed, he's going to be able to overtake a lot of units that you might have with his impressive speed stat with all of the residual buffs he gets from his weapon and his A-slot skill. Also has Moonbow, And then again, the res -3 and then neutralizing the res bonuses means that he just does more damage. So naturally, because the map is claustrophobic and they are going to be mostly funneling down the middle here, you can use AoEs to your advantage. So Pain Plus is definitely a viable option. I did try Pain Plus for a while. It was a little bit difficult to manipulate and maneuver, but I think Pain Plus with Dancers in particular would be a very strong combination here because you could do a ton of splash damage across the entire map. That wasn't really an option for me, like I don't use Dancers, so and I only have one healer at my disposal. So because of that, it made it a little bit more difficult to position. But I do think that if you have a Pain Plus Savage Blow, double Savage Blow build on a Cleric, that actually is a pretty viable option as long as you have your Dancers positioned correctly. So like I said, this was a tough one, and accordingly we had to make some pretty significant adjustments to the Camillas themselves. So let's take a look. We'll start with Vanilla Camilla here. So she's at +10, Speed Acid of course, has her native axe with Special Refine, Reposition, has Ether for the special, Distant Counter for the A slot, Renewal for the B slot, Hone Flyers for the C slot, and Drive Attack 2 for the Seal. She is going to need to provide that buff to the other Camillas to make sure they do enough damage. Next we've got Spring Camilla. Spring Princess Camilla is merged at +10 with a Speed Asset, also has Summoner Support, has 5 Dragon Flowers, so she keeps her Grana Raven Triangle Adept build, but she also has Reposition, Ether for the special, a Lancebreaker 3 for the B slot, Hone Flyers for the C slot, and Spur Attack 3 for the Seal. So again, providing the necessary buffs to the other Camillas while guaranteeing certain doubles on player phase.
Yes.
Next we have New Year's Camilla, Holiday Traveler Camilla merged at +10 with a Speed Asset, has her Slaying Edge Plus with Attack Refine, Reposition, Gale Force for the special, Swift Sparrow 2 for the A slot, Green Tomebreaker 3 for the B slot, Goad Flyers for the C slot, and Heavy Blade 3 for the Seal. The Green Tomebreaker is actually going to be pretty critical, like pretty much every stat point matters. And then the Green Tomebreaker is just going to allow us to guarantee doubles against the Green Mage, who has considerable stat boosts, which makes it difficult to naturally double. And then finally we have Tropical Beauty Camilla, Summer Camilla, Sprint Swimsuit Camilla merged at +10 with an Attack Asset. Has her native Juicy Wave Plus with Attack Refine. Reposition, Fury 3 for the A slot, Flyer Formation 3 for the B slot, Spur Attack 1 for the C slot. Yes, you are seeing that correctly. Do not adjust your screens. That is exactly what we need. Swift Sparrow 2 for the Seal, and Blazing Light for the special. So we kept our native Juicy Wave because it has built-in Desperation, which allows us to free up the B slot, so we can use Flyer Formation, which allows us to free up the Seal, which allows us to use Swift Sparrow 2. So there is a method to the madness here. The Spur Attack 1 is actually necessary because I don't want to do too much damage with one of the other Camillas at a point, and I'll explain that later, because I need to charge up her special. I need to charge up Summer Camilla's special. So I originally had Goad Flyers here. I removed that because we actually need Spur Attack 1 in this particular instance. So because the reinforcements come in hot and heavy, I decided to go pretty offensive on this one. You don't want to get caught unawares. If you play defensively, units are going to spawn all around you, behind you. So you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, and I figured let's do, because we may as well try to take some of them out as we're making our approach. So first things first, my main targets on turn 1 are going to be the Red Fafnir as well as the Bow Flyer. And I can just reposition forward so that I can use both Summer Camilla to take out the Red Fafnir here. She's going to get the buffs, the residual buffs from Spring Camilla, so I need to do it in this order. And then Spring Camilla is going to go ahead and attack the Bow Flyer and do some damage. I tried so hard to get Spring Camilla to double the Bow Flyer. It just wasn't happening. No matter what kitten arrangement I could do, it just wasn't going to happen. So just decided to chip down enough so that we can also charge up our Ether. Spring Camilla's going to tank 5 attacks in a row because she's just a beast. And at this point we have this Axe Cavalier that spawned off on the right hand side, has Slaying Axe, as well as Sturdy Blow, and most notably Lunge. Lunge and Rouse Attack Defense 3. Those are pretty deadly potentially because it can compromise your positioning and put you in the range of something more deadly. So we're going to use New Year's Camilla to go ahead and double the Axe Cavalier on player phase. We're going to do just enough damage, and we're going to activate Gale Force in the process. So there we go. And now we need to take out this Bow Flyer. And so we're going to accomplish that by using Spring Camilla on player phase, using that Ether, and then also just replenishing our health for later on, because that is going to be useful. We'll reposition Spring Camilla to safety, and now you have a line of units here. We didn't talk about the Red Thief. The Red Thief is one of the most annoying units on this entire map. You wouldn't think that a specific color thief or dagger unit would be particularly deadly, but it's just the combination of his stat line as well as the Cleaner Plus, Glimmer, and then Fire Boost, Axe Breaker, and Panic Smoke in particular. All of these things kind of work in tandem to make him pretty obnoxious to work against. So he's up here, and he did spawn, and he's kind of stuck behind the other units, and that's what we want. We want to delay his approach so we can take out the others as they kind of file in. So in that vein, we're actually going to fall back with Vanilla Camilla.
Yes.
We're going to move back down here, still in the range of the Lance Flyer, but out of the range of everybody else. And then we're going to use Summer Camilla's Flyer formation to just move down here to safety. So here at this point, she's going to give the attack buff, the Spur Attack 1, to Vanilla Camilla, which will let Vanilla Camilla do some decent damage to the Lance Flyer, but not significant damage. And that's what we want, because we want to use this opportunity to use Summer Camilla and charge up her special against the Lance Flyer. So she'll double, she won't kill, and she'll get her Blazing Light ready. Now we can use Vanilla Camilla to finish off the Lance Flyer, and now Vanilla Camilla is in the range of this newly spawned Blue Cavalier. So the Blue Cavalier has monstrous res. Monstrous res, Sturdy Bow Plus, Bow Breaker, and Attack Smoke 3, as well as Thoron Plus. So having huge range and absurd resistance can be pretty annoying. Thankfully, we have a counter. We have Camilla here, Vanilla Camilla, that has physical damage, and the defensive stat for the Blue Cavalier is not nearly as impressive. And what spawned on the other side is this Red Mage, who is super speedy, has Flashing Blade 3 as well, and then Mystic Boost 3, like I was talking about before. Again, I think specifically intended to counter clerics on your team. Has Odd Speed Wave 3, as well as Phantom Speed Plus to work in tandem with Flashing Blade. So we're going to use New Year's Camilla to go ahead and double the Red Mage. She's getting all those buffs from Spring Camilla, so she can double and activate Gale Force. Try as I might, I could not one-round the Red Mage. I did really try.
Best wishes.
But we're going to have to use both actions for New Year's Camilla to take out that Red Mage, but it's worth it, because now we can reposition her to safety, and now Spring Camilla is just in the range of basically the Cleric once again. And there we go. The Blue Cavalier is going to be taken out on enemy phase by Vanilla Camilla. So now we have Blazing Light Charge, which, as I mentioned, was really important, and Summer Camilla is critical for taking out this Red Thief. And so that's what we're going to do on player phase. Use the Blazing Light. That's also going to do 10 damage to the Cleric as well, which is critical, because we need to use New Year's Camilla to go ahead and take out the Cleric here. She's going to go ahead and double, activate Gale Force, secure that kill, and now she's also going to be able to take out the other major threat, which is the Green Mage. So that's two huge threats down, the Red Thief and the Green Mage. And at this point, we can double up on the Lance Fighter here to take him out, because he has a pretty good offensive set. Brave Lance, Death Blow, Luna at the ready.
Beautiful.
So we're just going to go ahead, and we, of course, have the Lance Breaker to make sure we're doubling with Spring Camilla. And then we're going to use Vanilla Camilla to finish her off. Of course, we have the Lance Dragon over here, but the Lance Dragon can only reach both of the green units, so they can tank her just fine. We'll take out the Lance Fighter right now. And then on this following turn, we're just going to tank that hit from Mila. New Year's Camilla does not get doubled, so she's going to tank that one hit from Mila, which is perfectly fine. That's all we need. And at this juncture, we can go ahead and take out the Lance Dragon with Spring Camilla. I didn't talk about the Sword Knight that spawned over here. Just a really tanky armor. Red armor, Guard Sword Plus, has Wary Fighter, Distant Defense 3, Pavis, just stocked to the brim with defensive stuff. And of course 99 HP, and pretty impressive defensive stats. So has Defense Res Gap, and then most notably Chill Defense 3. They've started doing this where they add this really, really tanky armor into one of the later reinforcements that has some chill skills on them, because they essentially act as this slow-moving wall and a tank that's just out there and continuously, like, map-wide debuffing your team. So that's what this guy's role is, just chill defensing, basically. But like I said, otherwise, all of the major threats are gone. We just have Mila, and we just have this Sword Knight. So now we can just basically finish them off at our leisure. We're going to reposition back, and we're just going to kind of secure ourselves back behind this wall. They're not flying units, so they have to go around the water, which we can use to our advantage, of course. I actually think I missed an opportunity to attack with Spring Camilla, but it's fine. At this point, again, the major threats are neutralized. We're going to use Summer Camilla just to chip away a tiny, tiny bit. Every little bit helps. We're going to secure ourselves back here in this right side wall. So they're going to approach. Mila is going to boost the already impressive defensive stats for the Sword Knight, but we're just going to fall back. So we just want to make sure that we're getting some healthy Hone Flyers buffs on the two major attackers, most notably Summer Camilla here to take out the Sword Knight. And then we're just going to attack and fall back over and over and over again. That's really the name of the game, not in any rush here. Let them approach. There we go. We keep this trucking along.
Time for a swim.
Keep attacking.
Well,
There we go.
yes, of course.
And we'll let this final turn happen. And then finally we can take out this Sword Knight. Now on the actual non-commentary run, obviously I did it differently. Like I said, the threats are gone, so you can kind of tackle this however you really need to, which is pretty nice. So we're gonna go ahead and just use Spring Camilla to attack here, and then we're going to just fall back and let Mila attack into Vanilla Camilla, and I think this should take her out. Okay, it won't. That's fine. That's fine. We'll just use Spring Camilla to go ahead and finish off Mila right now. Just kind of a little bit of the star of the show anyway. And that's it. So that's how I cleared the Mila Goddess of Love Mythic Hero Battle on Abyssal difficulty with Camilla Emblem. Let me know in the comments below what strategies and teams you ended up using to clear this Abyssal level map. Hopefully you all enjoyed the video. If you did, please feel free to leave us a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more Fire Emblem Heroes content. We thank you all so much for watching and taking time out of your day to spend with us. We really, really do appreciate it. I hope you're all staying safe, healthy, and secure out there, and certainly wishing the best for you, your family, and your friends. And until next time, let's protect those skies.